Hello, everyone. It's been a long time, and I have not been, and I didn't show up. Yeah, I've been going through the thought process, and some of the questions I've been asking myself is there any need to continue 30 days challenge? Can I just quit the 30 days challenge and then continue podcasting twice a week? And well, that was a good idea. Yeah. But then I asked myself, okay, why is it that you cannot fulfill that promise you've made? You said you were going to show up. You said you were going to make a podcast every day for the next 30 days. Why is it that you can't fulfill that promise? What is the hindrance? What's the obstacle? Is it something that is rational, or is it one of these ways where you cook up ideas and reasons why you can't fulfill your promises and then you move on? And I looked around and I was like, okay, my life, it's not like, okay, I don't have a day job, there's nothing I'm doing. I have the time to do a daily podcast challenge if I want to. Okay. So why am I not doing it? I feel overwhelmed. Okay, why do I feel overwhelmed? Because there's so much stuff to do. It's like 30 episodes. How do I put things? What do I do? What do I talk about? Okay. Now, first of all, I'm overwhelmed. Second, I feel like I am not an expert. I'm not good enough. So let's address them one by one. With overwhelm, I was like, okay, what would help me is to have a system instead of just waking up and then say, oh, I'm going to record this podcast episode today. And then tomorrow I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to record today. Why not have a system? And so the whole idea of having the system is simple. I was like, okay, what do I use? Do I use a notebook? That's not really, that's a lot of things. I want something I can be able to see all the pages at once, get a full glance of what I'm dealing with. Okay, I'm like, okay, if uh, a, a, a page can now do that, well, you could use a book, but for me, I'm like, nah, not really. I'm like, okay, what could I use? I could use all these project management software like Trello, like Asana, like ClickUp, and all the stuff. But yeah, Trello is very simple and it's good to get started. You put your stuff there, but nah, that's not really my thing. Uh, Asana, awesome, wonderful. ClickUp, yeah, awesome. But then I found Notion, like Notion is overwhelming in a sense because there are a lot of stuff you need to learn, but you can build whatever you want. It's flexible. What I mean flexible, it's like they give you clay to mold whatever you want to mold. There are no structures, there are no skeletons. Unlike Trello where you have a skeleton, you're like, oh, you have to do it this way and you have to do it this way. I'm like, yeah, what about I use Trello? And I had no idea. I was like, okay, I could take a course, I could take a video tutorial. But then I was like, okay, no, why not just try and see what you can create? And I started creating and I loved what I created. And that was really, really awesome. And it's Trello that I've been using for the 100 Microfiction challenge. And I'll talk more about that later in the episode. Okay. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, if I'm using that Overwhelm, that would be great. That would be awesome. Now, Overwhelm has been taken care of. Though I have not created a system completely, I'll do that today. Um, by the time this podcast, I'm recording this podcast very early in the morning. The time is 2:08. That's 8 minutes past 2. So by the time the podcast go live by 4 p.m., I would have already created the system. Okay. So now the next thing I'm looking at is I'm not good enough. I'm like, okay, you're not good enough. You're not an expert. That's true. There's nothing to say, oh, I'm not an expert. Nobody said you're an expert. You're not going to come out and say I am an expert. No, you're going to say I'm a beginner. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about and what I'm saying. If you want to listen to me, listen to me. If you don't want to listen to me, no problem. But I'm more like a friend who talks about the things that he loves to talk about in writing. And we both listen to each other. We both talk about and discuss things, even though we're not experts. That is that friend, your digital friend. That is that person I want you to see me as. Not an expert, not a guru, not someone who has stories onto his name. Of course, those things will come in later on, but I am a beginner. I say, okay, now that it has been addressed that I'm a beginner, now that it has been addressed that I am just starting out, I'm a total newbie, then talk about the things. Look at your own perspective as a newbie. What are things you like? What are things you love? What are things you hate? What are things you're experiencing? I'm like, okay, what would be a better strategy towards this 30 days podcast episode? I was like, okay, let me kind of get a content bucket of things I want to talk about. And so I said, okay, over the course of 30 days, in the next 30 days, what I'm going to do is I am going to create episodes on the myths, the excuses, the writer block problems, the procrastination problems, and exercises to solve those problems over the next 30 days. So the whole idea is simply me creating episodes for me in time when I would need those things. What do I mean? If I say I don't have time to write, for example, that's an excuse. I don't have time to write. Well, the whole idea is simply I create an episode on that. I create an action plan. What do I do? Why am I? I go through the thought process. I analyze myself, and I'm like, okay, what are you thinking about? Why do you think you don't have time? When will you have time? Is it really true that you don't have time, or it's not important? And so each time I feel like I don't have time, I just put the episode and I start listening to it, and I hear myself talking to myself. And I think one of the best people who can tell you the truth is yourself. Yeah. You have to keep telling yourself the truth. And oftentimes we have to keep reminded, even though we know that these things are not true, we have to keep reminded. And so the overwhelm has been handled. The idea has been handled. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to commit myself all through May. I'm going to commit myself in the next 30 days. I'm going to post an episode, after which we'll come back to our bi-weekly podcast episode. And then since I am a newbie, I can't be talking about the past because I have nothing in the past. I'm not a retired writer. I don't know if that is there anything like retired writer. But I'm working on a project, and I'm going to keep working on the Microfiction project. And okay, the update on the Microfiction project is I've written so far three micro pieces, and I've been using Notion, and I really love Notion because then I can filter it according to the process of first draft, second draft, final revision and stuff like that. Though I've not really gone into editing on any of the stuff, I'm just writing. Also, I can filter it according to list. And sometimes you want to write microfiction, but then you don't want to write microfiction, you want to write micro non-fiction. So it's a story, a snippet of a story in your life. And then you want to just write it. It's true. It's not imaginative. It's completely true. It's a documentation of your life or someone else's life that really happened. And you can filter it according to fiction, non-fiction. And you can customize it according to the way you want, anyhow you want it to be. And I really loved it. And I just loved writing the story. It felt really good. And it was a completely wholesome experience. Yeah. Because again, you can just zoom in into a full page and then just start writing, which is really, really good. I really loved it. Yeah. So I'll continue writing the microfiction, but this time I'll be testing things, and this time I'll be more intentional about what I'm writing, and I'll be exploring some ideas. So if you'd love for me to create a template, so you can use for the microfiction challenge, I'd love to know. You can send me a mail at mechi@buildwriting.com, or go to my website at buildwriting.com/contact, and send me a message. Yeah, or you can just comment, like just reach out to me, and I would send you a template. Yeah, I'll create a template specially for you and send it out to you. So far, the microphone challenge have gone well, and I'll keep on working on that, and I'll update you guys on the challenge. For all of you who have subscribed to me, who have been listening, thank you so much. I really do appreciate. And part of the reason why I am showing up, and I'm like, I made a promise, I have to keep that promise. And it's not like, even though I didn't do the 30-day challenge, it wouldn't have been quitting altogether. It would have just been that there was a project you wanted to work on, but you did not finish the project. Instead, you kept working as a writer, you kept working as a creator, but you didn't quit as a creator per se, but you stopped the project, you didn't finish the project. And in a way, now that I'm talking about it, I feel like it's quitting on the project. But in the overall grand scheme of things, it's not quitting. You get, but I'm optimistic about this journey together. And thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I would love to know what you want me to make videos about. The landscape of creative writing is really changing, and I'd love to know things you're working on. I'd love to know the kind of writer you are. You can send me a message at Mechi at buildwriting.com, and I'd love to send you to get your message, or you can send me a message at hello@buildwriting.com, whichever way. I also put a link to website where you can subscribe to the newsletter. I'm doing some revamps on the newsletter, and the whole idea of the revamp is to have something valuable, something that helps the writers reach their goal. And yeah, thank you so much. So far, you've been listening to Oyemichi Nwakonam, the host of the Buildwriting podcast. Thank you. Until next time, keep writing.